A leading voice activist is sparking fury after making controversial comments about the No campaign.
Every time the No case raises one of their arguments, if you start pulling it apart, you get down to base racism. I'm sorry to say it, but that's where it lands.
Ms Langton has insisted she was not referring to No voters, but to the campaign.
Will the Minister for Indigenous Australians condemn Professor Langton's comments?
I call on everyone involved in this referendum to act respectfully and with care for their fellow Australians. We are a great country. We are enhanced by listening to a diversity of views and opinions. And fundamentally, The Voice is all about the act of listening to some of the most disadvantaged Australians.
What I was saying was that the claims made by the No campaign are based in racism and stupidity. And that's a completely different kind of statement altogether.
Does the Minister believe Professor Langton's comments accord with her request for Australians to act respectfully?
The pain of racism is real for those people who have experienced it. It is something that should not be used for political purposes.
The Leader of the Opposition has taken the weirdest whispers from the furthest fringes of social media and legitimised them and amplified them here in the People's House of the Parliament.
The Prime Minister's campaign on The Voice is a disaster, dividing families and our nation.
He claimed that he'd had conversations with Indigenous elders in Leonora to convince him to vote no in the referendum, when those same elders say that he advised them to vote yes. That's what they had to say.
An opposition leader with an ounce of decency would distance himself from a strategy based on disinformation and deceit.
Karen Middleton is Chief Political Correspondent at the Saturday paper and joins me now. Karen, welcome. There's far more to this referendum than just politics, obviously, but let's just focus on what's been happening here in Parliament House this week. The opposition leader has been accusing the Prime Minister of creating division with this referendum. How did Marcia Langton's comments fit into that narrative?
Well, they've become a tool, I guess, for the No campaign to do what they're trying to achieve. We've got to remember that a referendum is different to an election. It's a yes-no proposition. People have to go one way or the other, and the job is harder for the yes side because they've got to explain the proposition, reassure people and persuade them. The no side really, whether they use facts or not, have an easier job. They can just generate confusion, they can make people frightened, they can generally create a negative atmosphere, anger if you like. And so that doesn't necessarily rely on facts. And they can take a statement like Marcia Langton's, embellish it slightly if necessary to achieve that objective. Now, the research on both sides is showing that among those people who are sort of still undecided but thinking they might vote yes, a significant portion of those people are saying they would vote yes to create a unifying moment, something we do together for the greater good, a positive step, doing it all together. So there's an interest for the No campaign in generating controversy. They are grabbing hold of what they can to generate controversy, antagonism, talking about division, because that helps to create division. It'll probably upset people who might vote no, as well as the people who are thinking they might vote yes. And it also makes it harder to explain the proposition. Yeah,
to fuel that idea of disunity. We saw ministers lining up today to accuse Peter Dutton of misinformation and disinformation. Just unpack this for us. Is this an attempt to try and turn the polls around from where they are at the moment, or is this about laying the groundwork for how to deal with any loss of this referendum?
Well, I think everything on the yes side is an attempt to try and turn the polls around. So it's definitely that. But I do think there's a genuine belief on the side of the government, which is in favour of yes, that the closer we get to polling day, the less it will be about facts, and the more the no side will grab hold of anything like Marcia Langton's comments to try and foment that sort of thing. So I think they were taking the opportunity in Parliament to accuse him of doing that and to sort of put that on the record. Now, in terms of afterwards, if a no vote was to prevail, I think they'd have to be a bit careful about how they go about blaming anyone for that, because they don't want to be seen as disrespecting the decision of the Australian people. They certainly certainly don't want to turn a no vote at a referendum into a bye-bye vote government for the government at the next federal election. Yeah.
Look, we know the government is wary of the dynamic when Parliament's sitting, of the whole debate being dragged down into the political muck, and wants to get through this week and back into campaigning in the community. But how would you describe the levels of confidence in the Yes camp right now?
I would say they are still hopeful but not confident. They see themselves as having a pathway to success. They don't see this political debate as helping. Of course, the opposition leader is also making this a leadership test of himself, because he's had a big defeat to pull his party together over, and also to try and take a little bit of paint off the Prime Minister. So he's turned it into a political fight as well. The Yes side wants to get into the community because they are finding when they sit down with people or just speak to people in conversation and explain what they say they're trying to do, a lot of people are saying to them, oh, well, okay, that's not so bad. They feel like they're having greater success out in the community than they are in this political forum of Parliament.
Look, a final one, and on another front, the government, we know, has been on the back foot in relation to Qantas and Qatar Airways for a week or so now. Today, after that High Court ruling that we noted earlier, you saw the government really try and turn the tables on the coalition. How did they go?
Well, it was a gift to the government, this decision, really. A government that's been accused of being too close to Qantas and has struggled with that for the last couple of weeks. Suddenly you have a decision that allows them to put some distance between themselves and Qantas, praise the union movement and have a kick at the coalition all at the same time. You know, oh, happy day for the government. I think they were quite happy to have that as the parliamentary week comes towards an end.
Yeah, indeed. Karen Middleton, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, David.